Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind.
Deadlights
Pod. Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, Sam.
And I'm your host, Leslie.
I almost forgot my name there. Almost forgot my name there for a second.
No.
I had to think for an extra second, but we're good.
You know your name now?
Yes.
Middle name?
We'll get there. Let me warm up to it. I've got my first name. That's as far as I got.
In the middle of the show, you have to say your middle name.
I'll figure it out.
Okay.
By the time we get there.
Nice.
Wow. Well, welcome to another episode. We're here. We're back. And we watched a movie.
We did. We watched a movie, and
Because that's what we do here.
it was scary.
It was scary.
I was scared.
I was pretty scared. And we watched Fatal Attraction from 1987, directed by Adrian Lyne, written by James Dearden. A married man's one-night stand comes back to haunt him when that lover begins to stalk him and his family.
This is going to turn into a PCA, at least on my side.
PSA?
PSA.
PSA, yeah.
PSA?
PSA. Public service announcement?
Yes.
Yes.
Of just don't do it. Don't do it.
We got a big old cautionary tale on our hands on this one for sure.
I mean, it must have been in the Grimm Brothers fairy tale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right next to the Headless Horseman.
Yes, it's smashed between Headless Horseman and Snow White.
Right. Yeah.
Don't cheat.
Getting head.
Yeah.
Horseman, I guess. Yeah. It's a pretty famous movie too. I guess we should say Fatal Attraction is a pretty notorious film. We are talking about two fairly well-known actors, Glenn Close and Michael Douglas, who were the leads. And when it came out, it was a big film for both of them. So we are dealing with one of the more mainstream ones, and a little bit different of a film. I think people might be a little surprised that we put this in there because it's not horror, but it is a thriller for sure. Thriller. I think it absolutely falls within that category. Some would call it a sexual thriller too.
Sexual healing, yeah.
Not much of that in this film.
I'm not going to be ignored, Dan.
Well, let's just get into the can.
Open it up.
Do it.
Open it up. What we got in there?
I really enjoyed the script.
Just kind of hate it when guys think they can come on like that.
Aw, Jimmy's okay. He's just a little insecure like the rest of us.
You just have to be discreet.
Oh, God, yeah.
Are you? And you're here with a strange girl being a naughty boy?
I don't think having dinner with anybody's a crime.
Not yet.
I agree. I think the script was so well written and paced out. It was actually one of the longer films that we've watched. It's nearly 2 hours, maybe a little over. But that's because they're taking their time establishing this man's life, establishing the relationship that he has within his family, and then taking you on this wild ride with this affair, and then all the consequences that come out of it. And it felt natural. That is a big thing that I felt through this whole film, is the story unfolded naturally. And I think that you're right. It goes back to the acting and the script. Everything just fell together very naturally. And the writing was great. This is a movie about hidden desires and innuendos. And there were so many conversations that on the paper are about something, but really when you start listening to it and the inflections and the emotion that the actors put behind it, it's about something completely else, completely different. It's all about the subtext, really.
Mm-hmm.
You're my wife.
Discreet.
So the movie is never overstated or never overwritten, I felt like.
Or overacted. Which I think it was a style in the 80s that was done.
Now,
But
we do get to a place at the end where it's very, very heightened actions and emotions, and it's the climax of the movie. But we've spent so much time with these people and gone on this slow journey upwards in the tension that by the time it gets there, it feels like it pays off. It feels like they've earned that kind of like heightened reality because they've built us there so well.
I don't know what you're up to, but I'm going to tell you it's going to stop right now.
No, it's not going to stop. It's going to go on and on until you face up to your responsibility.
My question is, because everything was going fine. You could tell that he does love his wife and his kid, and his career that he has and has established. But he does this.
Look, Alex, I like you. And if I wasn't with somebody else, then maybe I'd be with you. But I am.
Please don't justify yourself as pathetic.
This movie is about the what if. We're going into this man's life when he is moving from the city to the suburb life. And they even say that, you're going to become a suburbanite, which is kind of a image of growing up.
Yeah.
They're going from an apartment where they probably were in their 20s and partied and did crazy, immature things, and then met each other and then started to build this family. And now it's time to grow up. Now it's time to actually be an adult and take responsibility, which is a big word that they use, for your own life. And so I think in his head, he's thinking he is leaving a part of himself behind. He's leaving that immature kid self that he had in the city.
Single
life in the city. And so there's going to be that question of like, what if? What if I don't do that? What if I do have a whole life with a different person? So I think that it's just like his circumstances in life is all kind of, it's a perfect storm of like his circumstances in life, him settling into this like idyllic couple, because there is nothing wrong in his life. They establish that very blatantly in the beginning. For probably the first 20-ish minutes, we're just like seeing them live their lives. And like, you understand that they are happy and that they have everything. He's successful. They've got money. They've got a child. They're happy together. They have friends. They like everything in life is going great. And there is no reason for him to step out. There's no reason. But it's just that nagging what if. It's the FOMO.
But it's also, it could have been just a very like sudden thing. Like when he met her and was like, oh crap, this girl is oozing with confidence and all these things that are making me feel like I am, brand new or whatever, like very, very young again.
Why don't you have a date tonight, Saturday night?
I did have a date. I stood him up. That was the phone call I made.
The whole time while you're going through the movie, you're seeing this girl who's obsessed and alone, and you are made to think that she isn't all there in the head, just because she's willing to go out of her way to like ruin this person's life. But also him just hitting it and quitting it is not appropriate either.
I absolutely agree. He is at fault too, for sure. And I think that goes back to the responsibilities that he has to take. He has to take responsibility for his actions. He wants to, like you said, hit it and quit it. No consequences here, which is just a one night stand. And we understand that, right? Like he says that multiple times. Like, you understand what's going on.
Look, you knew about me, all right? I didn't hide anything. I thought it was understood.
What was understood?
The opportunity was there, and we took it. I thought we could have a good time.
No, you didn't. You thought you'd have a good time. You didn't stop for a second to think about me.
That's crazy.
definitely that is part of his character of not being able to take responsibility for his actions. He eventually does. He eventually does get there to the wife and admits what he did.
But then it got to the point where it was then fatal.
The attraction was fatal. But yes, you're right. He was forced to share it with her.
To have an affair with her?
Yes.
Would he have ever said that to his wife if he wasn't pushed to? Absolutely not.
Probably not.
No, because like you said, he wanted to hit it and quit it.
Yeah.
So he never would have taken responsibility. And we see what happens when you don't do that in a thriller.
And, I mean, things like this, maybe not quite like the movie, but things like this do happen. We've seen it over and over again in true crimes and all the shows and podcasts and books. But, you know, if we just like remove the murder aspects, we're left with just the secret. We're left with the lie. And that is as hurtful. And it's something that seeps through and will become other people's problems. Like if the dad decides to just push it back and just never talk about it, there could be a lot of resentment and a lot of issues that can then not allow the family to grow in a very healthy environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it starts to your actions and their consequences have to affect other people, especially when it's your family.
Yeah. You're no longer living on your own. You're not living the single life.
No,
you're married.
Come on, Dan.
Come on, Dan. You have a child who's learning magic and wants to have a rabbit because she wants to be a magician. Like that's so freaking cute. The wife decides to stay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, you know, we can judge all day long about what people should and shouldn't do, and everything looks different on everyone. But that is a hard decision to make, to stay while you know that, I mean, your husband went and fucked someone and then impregnated them, which I don't think that ever was real.
Yeah, they never confirm or dispute,
Deny.
yeah, that it was real or not, but it's...
And then you both had to murder her.
Yeah.
Like, that is hard.
Yeah. That ending, I felt that, yes, for the time being, she chose to stay, maybe for the sake of the child. But that last shot on their idyllic family photo really was foreboding for me. I was like, I don't think things are going to be okay. Nothing is going to be the same after this. We're never going back to that happy family. So I think we pretty much just took care of the meat, to be honest. We kind of transitioned, so go back and whatever. But I do want to go actually back to the can for a second, because I think along with how well this movie is paced out, and we kind of just went through what just happened, the cinematography and editing changes as they go through, as Michael Douglas goes through this story. Because we start off, you know, at the beginning of the movie, I actually felt like it was, I've used this phrase before, plain Jane. It was just very, you know, normal shooting. You know, we're in the house and we're going through normal life, and we're going to a party and everything seems normal. And then after the wife and child go on vacation for the weekend and this affair happens, that's when we start getting this like super soft lighting, kind of fantasy-esque, and we're in the elevator too with light coming through it in the smoke, and everything is really steamy. Like the filmmaking actually goes from like on a tripod to handheld. Like you're in there with them having this affair, and things become hectic, and it feels like, they're like really shooting it like this fantasy. But then after things go bad and he realizes that Alex is a stalker, we go to like a really, really dark place, like blues, heavy shadows on people's faces, a lot of silhouettes of Michael Douglas and Glenn Close and other characters too.
Lots of usage of red as well, and her in white.
Yes.
Like absolutely all white. To make it look like, you know, she's a little sheep. And location wise too, like we don't look outside the Gallagher's house. We just like are inside. So we don't know exactly the surroundings of that house, but then we know Alex's. And it's dark. There's I don't know, like a butcher shop. So there's like animal carcasses like around.
Yeah.
And like hooks, and there's deep shadows. So it
Scary.
looks very like underground and not a place you want to be in.
No. But it was interesting because the first time that we go to her apartment, it's shot way differently. It's shot in this like kind of fantasy-esque way. You don't even notice like that much. It does look like industrial, but you're so focused on like them having sex in an elevator and how it's like shot and just getting wrapped up in that you don't, and Michael Douglas doesn't notice everything going on around him. It's a really shitty place. And then the next time we go back to that apartment after he realizes her true intentions, everything goes to like what you're talking about, dark, dingy, dirty. Who the fuck lives there? Creepy. All right, cool. Well, let's get to the cook then.
Let's cook it up.
See how they cook this thing up. I mean, we already kind of mentioned like it's well written enough where they've paced out the story to just keep us going along with it. And it's all in how they shoot it mixed with what's going on. Like how they're shooting it is informing us what's going on in the story too, which is, I love that. I think that they're just tying it. It's harder to do that as a filmmaker, but they're just tying the themes with the actual shots that we're seeing. Like when he's in this affair, this like fantasy affair with Alex, and they're doing these like shaky cam stuff, and then they go to a club, and the club is like all these close-ups,
So clever.
and like all these bright lights. It's like
And a lot of movement.
all
My
these
goodness.
where you can't see anything, and it made me like, oh, he's blinded, you know, by the fantasy that he's living in right now to understand the repercussions of his actions. So the shots were just working so well with what was going on to inform us even more information about the story. A lot of what I kind of call circular filmmaking, where in the first half of the movie they're setting things up without us even realizing, and then they go back to it at the end. Like, for example, the first place that Alex and Dan have sex in her apartment kitchen
sink. Yeah.
is we come back to when they're fighting, and he literally almost kills her. Right there, right next to the sink where this all started. And then there's also a line that she says when it's after the first night, and she calls him, and he's at work. He's like, I got a lot of work to do. And she's like, come over. I won't be a distraction. I'm a great cook. And he's like, well, you know, I got to take my dog out. And she's like,
Well, bring the dog. I love animals. I'm a great cook.
and then she ends up cooking one of their animals later.
wow.
I was like, damn. And it's not until like you watch this movie a couple times that you can notice some of those things, but man, they do it a bunch. There's a bunch of times, and it's again usually were places or spaces that we were in during the affair that we revisit later, and our perspective on it is completely different.
There was a lot of usage of phones
Oh my
to the point where you were just like, make it stop ringing.
Yeah.
Stop ringing.
And that's what he was thinking too.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, is it her?
It became like
A nuisance.
nuisance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, a warning. Bad. Yeah, that. And also heavy water imagery.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of water. I mean, we saw her like cover herself with water while they were having sex.
Oh, yeah. And then that's how she died.
And then she died in the water. Again, we're
Wow.
circling it back around.
I mentioned it while it was happening, but when they went to dinner and he goes and lights up a match to have her light up her smoke, and she, I think at that moment, like enthralled him, and he's holding on to this match that's burning, and you know, just like fire equals passion, and he's like holding on to this and not willing to let it go because like he's curious. That was a really great metaphor of what was happening, what was gonna happen.
This visual filmmaking, this visual storytelling, I mean, is just so well done. Dan, you're gonna burn yourself.
Dan, and you did.
You got burned, brother.
You got burned in the worst way. Like, you brought your whole family into this.
Yeah. Oh, that actually leads to some other parallel that I found where, so we have Dan we have Dan using Alex to play out this fantasy. And then he expects everything to just go back to normal. We then later in the movie have Alex using their daughter Ellen to play out her fantasy of being a mother almost, because she shows up to the school and just straight up kidnaps her.
Yep.
Kidnaps the daughter, takes her to the fucking carnival, and kind of indulges in this fantasy of being Dan's wife and having his baby. And so that's like just two things of people using other people to fulfill their own fantasies despite the consequences to that other person.
You get it? All right, it's over. There is nothing between us.
You mean you've had your fun, now you just want a quiet life?
It comes down to the lie. It just comes down to the fact of lying, because that is what ultimately is going to come back to haunt you.
It's disgusting.
Yoicks.
I carry things in my stomach, and let me tell you, I can't fucking lie. I will throw up every fucking day of my life.
Which she did when she saw their family.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so happy.
I think she started then switching it around in her mind. She felt as if he was cheating on her with a family.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
because at the end she comes in and says, "What are you doing here?"
What are you doing here?
yeah.
Which is like, she's so far gone.
Absolutely.
Of like, this is my home. That's my
Psychotic.
daughter. That's my husband. What are you doing here? Creepy.
Creepy. That is so crazy. And I've stated this before, but like, this is what freaks me out more than ghosts. Is just what people are capable of.
Why don't we get to the thrill? Let's get to it, because I think the main thrill, it's Alex. It's Glenn Close, our scorned woman who is obsessed and in love with, I would say, the idea of Dan. And his life. She wants his life.
But also she wanted Dan to be a little play toy. She didn't want him to have his own individual life.
True.
She wanted him there all the time, doing whatever she wanted.
Mm-hmm. Just to be at her beckoning. Mm-hmm. Just no matter, completely devoted to her. It wouldn't have, if they were to have met probably, and he was single, I don't think it would have ended up well either, because I think she's dealing with her own shit.
That newspaper Dan finds of that man that has a heart attack.
That was her father, right?
That was her father?
I believe so, because the first red flag that we have of Alex is when they're like having fun in the park, and then Dan pretends to like have a heart attack, and then he was like, I'm joking, and she's like, my father had a heart attack.
My father died of a heart attack. I was 7 years old. It happened right in front of me.
Wait, he didn't die? He's alive?
Yeah, he's alive and well and living in Phoenix.
That was the first moment of a red flag that I had, actually. And that was the first time in the movie that they used this deep bass that the rest of the movie started to have. That was like the turn where he saw something strange, and the movie indicated to us that was strange through the music and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that was a turning point, because everything else after that starts to really unravel, and her psychosis just continues to level up. After that, and he wants to go home, she slits her wrist to keep him there. And then comes in the 2:13 a.m. call, starts calling it at all hours, and then she forces him to meet up with her, and that's when she says that she's pregnant.
And says, I love you.
And then he changes his number, so she has to show up to the apartment to pretend like she's going to
Buy it.
And has a conversation with the wife, gets the new phone number too. Oh, she sends him the tape too.
The tape.
Dan, you fucking gutless bastard.
Because, I feel you. I taste you. I think you.
All the while he's listening to that, she's following him from the city to the suburbs so she can find out where he lives.
Look, both of them are at fault. But she just took it to another level, which makes it really scary.
Yeah.
What frightens me is also living your life thinking, that you're making this great life with your partner, you're raising this child that you've had together, and then your whole world is turned upside down because of this one action that this person is doing that is now infiltrating their home, to the point where this person is calling relentlessly. She came and killed the rabbit and started making a soup out of it.
That was the next thing. Oof.
And then kidnaps your daughter. So it's like this one action that could have been prevented if, you just said, no, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
But it's the whole, you're living your own life, and then you're like, oh yeah, the person that you're with has a whole other life.
Yeah.
That could just then, turn your reality just... That, mind fuck is what's, really scary for me.
Yeah, it was almost scarier for Beth, his wife, because she was, for the most of the movie, ignorant to what was going on.
Yeah.
But it is going on. There is a stalker who is stalking your family without you even realizing it. It's not until the rabbit scene that she does know that something bad is going on. And then her world is just flipped upside down. But yeah, I thought Glenn Close did a fantastic job of then making that switch into scary.
Oh, yeah. She was, when she was just standing away with her white dress and kind of disheveled, and her hair is in her face, and her teary-eyed but smiling at you. Scary.
The smiles were creepy.
Scary.
A lot of creepy.
Because she would do this thing where she would lower her head, so then she was looking at you with half moon eyes, and then the way that they did her makeup on the corner of her eyes made her look smudged and slightly out of control, because everything else about her blonde hair and white dress is light, but then her eyes were darkened and just full of rage.
Yeah, there was at the beginning of the movie, we mentioned it, she wore a lot of white. But then after she kind of revealed herself, her true self, we saw black.
Lots of blacks
mixed in. She was wearing a black jacket, she had black tights on, even when she was wearing a white shirt. And then, yeah, the makeup too was dark. There was something dark underneath there, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah.
And she loved it when, like, he almost came and choked her to death. And he didn't do it. And he started backing away and was afraid of her. She, like, smiled. And she just loved that. And her smiles faded when he started walking away.
Yeah.
So she wanted to continue to, like, fucking fight. She loved it. It was so toxic. It was so scary.
Also in the thrill, I feel like, I mean, Dan is kind of a bad guy too, or at least a guy who makes a bad decision and is somewhat of a user through this movie. And like we said, he doesn't really take responsibility for his actions until he's forced to. So I just kind of wanted to mention him in the thrill because he's not completely innocent of the situation at all. Like he's half of the reason that the events of this movie happen.
Oh yeah.
So I think he does kind of deserve to be put under the bad guys.
Well, I was mentioning it's the whole aspect of like you going about living your life and then your partner does this thing and just like rocks your fucking world to the point where your child is getting kidnapped. Oh yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Dan.
She's gonna divorce you. She's too good for you anyway.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, are you kidding? Like, you would cheat on her? No.
Absolutely not.
Fuck no.
And then, like, she was
Beth,
like getting.
we love you.
She was like getting ready one day, and he was like, "Oh, I just want to look at you. You're so beautiful."
I'm falling in love with you again because I fucked up.
And I fucked up, and I realized that like other girls are crazy,
But not you, baby.
not you. I got it all
Oopsie.
with you. It's like,
Oopsie.
ooh, you're already fucked up.
Oh, Dan, you fucked it up, brother. Too late. All right, let's get to the ride.
Let's do it.
Pull on into the ride. I thought that, this is another one of our longer movies, but you kind of mentioned I wasn't bored at any point.
No.
They were just really trying to play out the drama.
Oh yeah, drama we got.
Drama City.
Drama City.
Drama City into drama suburbs.
I like the drama suburbs more. There was rabbits and flowers.
True.
Grass.
Yeah, open field, but someone did get shot and drowned, so burbs.
Okay, they just moved to the house and I'm sorry, but I wouldn't be able to stay there. I would have to move out.
Yeah, nothing. I don't think that house is ever going to be a happy place again.
Literally, Alex is going to come back from the dead and keep haunting them.
Well, you know what happens in Fatal Attraction 2? Alex returns. Oh,
She's a fucking zombie.
I will not be ignored.
Is she zombie or Frankenstein's monster?
Ooh,
Frankenstein monster.
Frankenstein monster. I don't know. Maybe Dan. Yeah, he like digs her up again. Like, I want her again.
I'm just gonna have her as my little plain toy.
It'll be fine because she'll be dead this time. Like, she won't be crazy. Dan.
Yeah, Dan, you're crazy.
You're an idiot.
So like the ride was pretty enjoyable.
Thrilling
For sure. I think it hit all the beats it needed to. And we have cute little moments with the little dogs and the daughter.
Yeah.
What's the daughter's name?
Ellen.
Ellen.
Yeah.
Ellen. Right. Because her actual name was Ellen.
Real name is Ellen. That makes it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a couple times too that I saw very direct, like movies after this definitely directly inspired by a couple scenes in this. One of them is actually a movie that we've seen on the podcast, Audition, because there is the scene in Audition when the crazy girl is literally just like bent over and waiting by the phone for him to call.
Yes.
And then there's also a shot where Glenn Close is just sitting on her bed with the phone in front of her, just watching it. And finally he calls and she picks up. So and that is about a very Fatal Attraction. Audition is very much about a Fatal Attraction as well. And another one, which is also about a Fatal Attraction. I don't know if you've ever seen Fear with Reese Witherspoon and Mark Wahlberg. It's a gender reversal. So Mark Wahlberg is the crazy boyfriend who is ends up stalking and doing a bunch of crazy fucked up stuff.
No, I don't think I
to
have.
Reese Witherspoon. But in that movie, there's a scene, a very famous scene, when they're on a roller coaster and the song Wild Horses is playing in the background and Mark Wahlberg is yeah. But we have a roller coaster scene in this movie too.
We do.
With a child. But
With a child.
yeah. But again, that I think in both these movies, the roller coaster is referencing the ride that we have been on through this entire film.
It can be fun, or it can be scary.
No matter what, it's going to be a thrill. Fatal Attraction!
Fatal Attraction!
1987. Wow.
Wow.
Thank you for that ride.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that ride. Let's get to these Smash Pumpkins.
Yeah. You go first. I think I've gone first.
Okay.
I have a number, though.
So this is a movie that I've seen before. This is your first time, right?
My first time.
So we'll have that too. I actually didn't really have a number in mind, but I'll talk through it real quick. Like I said, I think that this does a very incredible job of doing the visual storytelling. What we're seeing on film is directly tying to what's going on emotionally with these characters the entire time. And that is extremely hard to do as a filmmaker, to make that tie. It takes so much more effort and thought into every shot. So the effort there was incredible. I thought the filmmaking was so good. And it is scary. Like, I'm glad that we had another one of these non-supernatural stories in the bucket, because you can really see how, quote unquote, real life can be as scary or as thrilling as a supernatural being, as a ghost in your closet, whatever. So,
Or an alien in your backyard.
or an alien in your backyard. Nope. And so that really hit too. It was scary. I think that I'm just going to have to go really high because it really ticked all the boxes. The only thing that I would kind of just like take a little bit away was that it was a little slow and long at times, though it really didn't take away from the story at all. I'm going to give it a 4.8.
All right.
Just a little bit off for that.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, because I noted it in my head. But still very high. Very, very well done movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm right there with you at a 4.5. And like we've mentioned, horror is very much your own interpretation. You'll find things that are scary that we don't, or vice versa. And yeah, the like we mentioned, the scary aspects about this, about someone who is taking it upon themselves to absolutely go out of their way to ruin someone else's life, involve children and poor little innocent animals, is real scary in my opinion. And that 0.5 that I didn't give it, I just like, it was a really well done movie. Yeah.
I think 4 or 5 is still a great score.
I mean, it's a really great score.
Yeah.
But like you said, it was a little slow, but it's also, it was it's an 80s movie.
Yeah.
So can't fault it that much, but yeah, it was good. It was a good movie.
Yes.
I'm so itchy.
I mean, that's what this movie does to you. It makes you itchy. See? That's gotta
Itchy!
That's where the 0.5 is off.
Because it makes you itchy.
Yes,
I didn't
that
take
makes
my
sense.
allergy medicine. That's
that'll do it too.
yeah.
Wow. Fatal Attraction. Glad we got this one in here.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got next week. Huh?
I'm excited.
Let us see. Always an exciting time of the pod. I think it's
my turn?
I thought it was mine, but you can go for it. I don't mind. I never mind.
No, you go.
Okay.
I think it was me. Yes, it was me.
It's you?
No, as in like,
Oh,
I'm
you
the one
picked
that picked
Fatal
Fatal
I see.
Attraction.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
it was.
So it's my turn now.
So it's your turn.
I always like going to the middle. kind of
The milk.
See what's in the here. Ooh, a thick one.
Oh,
This is going to be a really long movie. because the
paranormal.
paper is thick. Do you have a guess before I even read it?
I would like it to be something we've never seen before.
Cool.
But
That's a good ask. I like that. All right, here we go. Following an ever-growing epidemic of zombies that have risen from the dead, 2 Philadelphia SWAT team members, a traffic reporter, and his television executive girlfriend seek refuge in a secluded shopping mall.
The Mist? No,
This is classic.
it's Shopping Mall.
There's been a remake of this film
Oh.
in the aughts by Zack Snyder. This one, though, is written and directed by George A. Romero, one of the most famous zombie filmmakers of all time. We are
Ooh.
watching Dawn of the Dead from
Dawn
1978.
of the Dead.
Yep. That is an
Nice.
absolute classic.
Ooh, shit. Great. I'm
Good stuff.
excited.
Good
Zombies.
stuff. Classic zombies.
We did mention that Alex was going to come back as a zombie.
That's
So,
true.
Look at that.
There you go.
We got our zombies.
The bucket herd.
The bucket herd.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right, y'all. You can follow me on Color Me Leslie.
And me at BP Pritchie T. Also, give us a call at
773-669-6677.
Anything at all.
Call us,
Just call
please.
us.
God damn it.
Also, you can find us at the Deadlights Pod. And also check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we're recording this from.
We're here.
But until next time,
Ooh.
let's get spooky.
Ooh.
I will not be ignored, Dan.
I will not be ignored.